Jody, we're back again.
Hi, Miss Robin. How's it going today?
It is just a great, but a little bit cooler than I appreciate kind of day.
I concur. I think everybody in my family and in this office knows that Jody does not like the cold. Of course, that also translates into Jody's a whiner. So,
I look back, we were incredibly blessed with great weather in November and December. You
yes,
know,
we were. We were.
holidays, you could travel, you could do whatever without worrying. So I suppose, and I know, I tell my husband on a regular basis, I'm a farmer's daughter through and through. I'm not going to complain about snow. We always need the moisture. So,
I know. And at least I don't have cattle that I have to go out and take care of. So, my life could be a lot worse. I just have a few chickens I've got to go get some water for. So, my life could be so much worse. So much worse.
yeah,
Anyway.
I heard a name and I'm coining it for your chicken. They are the poultry princesses.
Yes, they are. They are. They are sweet little princesses guarded by some not so nice geese. Yes.
Oh,
Yes, indeed. And I think we're going to do a podcast on about my princesses here before too long, aren't we?
we are,
Okay.
yes, rising egg prices. I'll give that teaser,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
grocery store prices and chickens and just a little bit of everything about that. So,
Yes, yes. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Jody Drake, the Pratt County K-State Research and Extension Agent, and you are?
I'm Robin Eubank Callis, the Barber County K-State Research and Extension Agent.
And I already told you before we did this podcast, this one's on you because I am not an expert on this subject at all.
So I do have a little bit of training that you don't, and I'm just going to start with that off the bat. One of the hats I wear is I'm a trained counselor for the SHIC program in Kansas. SHIC with a CK on the end of it. It's Senior Health Insurance Counselors of Kansas. And so that's where my Medicare background comes from. Addition to a little bit of lived experience that we're going to talk about too with Medicare. So that's where I get to be considered, I'll say it, the expert for today's podcast. So
Yeah, no, I'm glad letting you be the expert. I chose not to go through that training simply because our Hope Center, which is um, a center here we have in Pratt, has one of those counselors, as does our hospital. So I leave that to them, and I choose not to provide that service here at our office. But you help a lot of individuals in your county with that service.
well, and so I'm going to take a little tangent here from our special agent mom's podcast piece, but and talk a little bit about the whole extension program.
Mhm.
And what I love about our Kansas extension setup is that we have local advisory committees helping us decide what's important for our county or district. And so you're absolutely right. If I had the resources you have in Pratt County, we wouldn't have seen it as a need. But 25% of the population in Barber County is over the age of 65. And we have one other person who's trained that works in one of our two hospitals. And so I had about 50% of my over 65 clientele who didn't feel like they had a resource to go to. So that's where, um, and I am not expert statewide by any means. What we're going to talk about today is just the basics. And so I'm able to help some of those folks understand the basics better and understand some decision making that they make either once in a lifetime or on an annual basis, depending what we're going to talk about. So, yes,
Yeah, it
it's
can be very complicated. It really can. And it doesn't
not,
have to
not,
be.
a, yeah. I guess where I was circling back to is don't expect every county extension office to have a resource,
Right.
but
Right.
statewide there are several of us that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
do this kind of work. So,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So what is Medicare?
so Medicare is insurance for those who are 65 or older or are disabled. So that's the basics of what Medicare is. Is it's insurance, health insurance specifically.
Okay.
And
Right.
so here's I'm gonna get on my soapbox. It's why we should all care about Medicare is that many of us in our age group are looking at parents that are going to be on Medicare, and not that they can't make their own decisions, but I think we ought to all have kind of a basic working knowledge for our rural healthcare systems. Original Medicare is part of their revenue stream. And so if we don't understand what original Medicare is, and we'll talk about Medicare Advantage, and so the difference that that can make in our rural healthcare systems. And so I know we all want to have choices when we do need Medicare. So it's about knowing what your choices are and I think I asked you this yesterday, but are you thinking about retirement yet?
Oh, you did not ask me this, and I do not have the days counted yet. No, no, but I could technically retire as early as 55.
Right.
Hmm.
But do you know what your healthcare cost will be into retirement?
I have not figured that up yet. Yeah.
So, and then also thinking about, even if you could retire at 55, 65, 67, are you planning to have enough saved for your healthcare cost? So that's where understanding that Medicare doesn't pay for everything and not everything is free on Medicare, um, can help you think about some of those planning for retirement kind of pieces.
So is Medicare supposed to be a standalone insurance or is it supposed to be a supplemental insurance?
So Medicare has a lot of pieces, a lot of pieces. And so if you have worked 40 quarters, so it's not strictly in it's they count in quarters. And your social security would tell you that too. And you can see that on social security on how many quarters you have that count. Um, then you do receive part A. Part A is often known as the hospital insurance at no charge. So even if you're working, you can take Part A Medicare out at 65 and continue working and having owner or employer provided health insurance prior during that same time. So Part A would
Okay.
act as kind of a backup if you did have a major hospital stay.
Okay.
So Part B is your doctor's insurance, and it does have a monthly premium. This year in 2025, it's $185 a month to have your Part B. So that's a premium you pay monthly. And if some people say, "Oh, I don't pay for mine," chances are they signed up for their Social Security and are having it deducted from their Social Security before
And
they
just,
even see it.
yeah, right, right,
And
right.
so they don't think about it's not that they're paying or writing a check every month, but it's being deducted every month before their Social Security. So that one has a cost. Part B is prescription drugs, and that has a monthly premium as well. Interestingly enough, this year, we do have some zero premium prescription drug plans available, and it depends on what pharmacy you want to use and what prescriptions you're on which one of those plans is the best for you. So, Part D is one where essentially the rules change every year. And so, if you are on original Medicare with Part A and Part B, you really need to be looking at your Part B for prescriptions every year. And I think as we get into more folks like you and I hit 65, we're going to be more tech savvy and it's going to be easier for people to do. I know some people who are doing it themselves now. I know pharmacists that are great assisters. That's what a lot of shit counselors see during what we call open enrollment from October
Right.
15th to December
Yeah.
7th every year, is when you can change your Part D. So I will warn you if you're like, I just don't want to pay for it. I'll just take A. If you add Part B and D later, there's a late penalty that you will pay the rest of your life. So it's really worthwhile if you see your 65th birthday coming, even if you're still working, to investigate how to delay it if you're still on provider or your insurance provided healthcare. And then the one thing that I always get a lot of questions about is dental and vision. And original Medicare does not provide dental and vision insurance. They can be purchased separately, just like a commercial plan. I think like your auto insurance. You can go out and compare providers and pick up dental and vision at any time you want. So, wow, I've talked a lot. Did I create any questions?
Oh my gosh. Um, I don't know. My brain is fried now. No, it's not. Um, so I think you knew I was going to ask this question, but so what's the difference between Medicare and Medicaid?
Okay, so Medicare is insurance that's available to anybody who's over 65 or disabled.
Okay.
Medicaid is a state-sponsored plan, and in Kansas, you might think of it as CanCare. And
Okay.
so
Okay. Yep. Yep. Yep.
it's available to people of lower income.
Okay.
And it is available to children and
Yes.
to families. There's a lot of requirements on being required, so I'm not going to get into that today. But if anybody is interested in applying for Medicaid, it's an application process through CanCare, which
Gotcha.
is Kansas's Medicaid. Every state has a version of it. I happen to be down here on the Oklahoma line, so I know Oklahoma's is called Sooner Care. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So you can have your regular insurance, like a Blue Cross Blue Shield, for instance, and also have Medicare, correct?
so sort of. I'm
Okay.
guessing you're speaking from experience of seeing somebody with something like that. And if they have Blue Cross and Blue Shield, it's probably a supplemental plan. And there's a whole alphabet list, I kid you not, of types of supplements and what they cover. A lot of people will say, well, I've got my Part G, which is really called Plan G, which is a Medicare supplement. And that would be the one that they would purchase through Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Yeah, I can see I created more questions. So if you think about it, it's like a pie. For original Medicare, you have your Part A, your Part B, you add your Part D for drugs, and then you can have a supplement. For people who like to be able to plan, that is like fits your whole pie. And so you know what your premium's going to be for your supplement and for your Part D and your Part B every month. So if you are a planner and want a budget and not be surprised by any medical costs, that's what you really need to look at putting in place because your supplement is going to cover most, not all, but most of your medical bills that would not be covered by Medicare. And I'm talking about some copays and some deductibles. Notably, the one thing they don't cover is your Part B deductible. But if you want to be able to budget and you don't like having any risk, you really need to add that supplemental piece. I've talked with people who are okay with a little more risk, and they're going, well, by not paying this amount for my supplement every month or annually,
Mhm.
I can save that money.
Hmm.
So if you are a little more risk tolerant, is how I like to describe it. And I work with farmers a lot or farm families that get it, that I'm like, where's your risk? What are you willing to absorb and what do you want to buy insurance for? So if you're okay with having that risk, I will say that your supplement is guaranteed when you first join Medicare. They have to sell you a plan. Later in life, they can look at previous conditions and deny selling you a plan. So you're making a choice there that may follow you the rest of your life, either for the good or the bad. However, your healthcare ends up working out in whatever you decide is good or bad. I always work to not judge people because not every plan works for every person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So, next
just the
question.
education pieces.
Do
Yes.
all providers take Medicare?
Original Medicare, you're going to find it accepted at almost every place. I mean, there's going to be somebody out there who says no, they don't take it, but um,
Because,
everybody local to us that I know of takes original Medicare. Now, if you've been hearing things, you might be thinking of a Medicare Advantage plan. So, okay, we're gonna jump off into Medicare Advantage plans. So, put
okay.
everything I've told you about the parts and the pieces,
Mhm.
and hold those thoughts in this bubble. And it's like we're now going to cross the bridge into a different type of insurance. And this is the type of insurance when you see Medicare advertised on television, you know the commercials I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's Medicare Advantage plans.
gotcha.
And it's the privatization of Medicare.
Is
So
this
it's
why Jody doesn't do this? My brain is a bush right now. Okay, keep going. Keep going.
it's fine. And so with these plans, they do offer things like they'll tell you they have dental, they have vision. Um, and I have talked to people who moved to the area who said, well, my plan used to give me money for groceries. They really did have all of those pieces. So Medicare Advantage plan is, like I said, the privatization of Medicare. So they combine all Part A and Part B, and often they include prescription drugs as well. And you don't need a supplement with them. You don't have to select one. Um, but here's the catch. They can quit covering, they can change service area from year to year. And we have had some that just quit covering in Western Kansas. If you move, you can lose your coverage because you could move from their coverage area to an area they don't cover. Um, Many rural hospitals are considered out of network. And so if you don't have a Medicare Advantage plan that has an out of network option, that means you could end up paying your entire hospital bill. So if you hear people say, well, my Medicare didn't pay for anything, chances are they have a Medicare Advantage plan and they're not on original Medicare. They can also operate like a PPO, which is a primary provider organization where you're assigned a primary provider. It may not be the hospital that's closest to you. They also have options that operate similar to an HMO. And one of the biggest things I'm seeing with several is that they require prior authorization. So, just to lay it out for you, if you're sitting in the doctor's office and they say, well, you need this test to check for this condition, before you could see a specialist to get that test, your Medicare Advantage plan is going to require prior authorization. So that means somebody else besides your doctor you're seeing has a say in what medical treatment or medical procedures you can have done. I'm not here saying that that's a bad thing. I'm saying I know people who don't like that concept. And so I
Right.
just really work to make sure that everybody is aware. Um, I do know that Medicare Advantage plans have created challenges on many of our rural hospitals. And so um, you may be told that they don't take them. Well, technically, they're just out of network, which means depending on how your plan is set up, they may or may not pay for anything there. Um, and when we're talking about this, and I have people that I do help counsel that have made this choice, and it works well for them and their choices. I always make sure they think about where do they spend most of their time, and where in an emergency is your family, friends, or even an ambulance going to take you?
Okay,
So,
backpedal for just a minute here.
absolutely.
Okay, let's say I am getting ready to retire. Is there like an online calculator somewhere where I can plug in numbers and see how much I need for insurance after retirement?
So, yes and no. I don't know if there's a calculator where it will just do it all for you. But Medicare.gov, you can go in and you can shop prescription drug plans there. You can also shop Medicare Advantage plans and see what's available. Um, if you're looking at original Medicare, we know it's what it is a month now for Part B. Knowing that it does take a small increase every year, we just don't know how much of an increase it'll be. In Kansas, the Kansas Insurance Commission has a website where you can look at supplement plans and see what their average cost is based when you buy during your guaranteed issue um, right after you're joining Medicare, they can only set your cost based on your gender, your zip code, um, your age, and if you use tobacco products. So those are the only things they can consider. And so you could put that in and get an idea. Um, yeah, what I would say is if you're getting close and you want hard numbers, to find a SHIC counselor or a basic Medicare class, intro to Medicare to take. So, and
Okay,
those are available.
okay, that's helpful. That is helpful. Um, what happens then to my health savings account when
So
I retire?
if you are working for an employer who offers a health savings account, not a health reimbursement account, but a health savings account, you
Mhm.
do need to quit contributing to that 6 months prior to joining Medicare. So I know that's one of the options we have as state employees. So when I
Mhm.
hear somebody's getting close to retirement, I always on the side say, hey, if you have an HSA, you need to talk to somebody about it. And they either know or they look at me startled, like, what do you mean? And I'm so just um, but just so you know, so that money, if you are do have the option for a health savings account, will stay with you the rest of your life. So you can use that to pay for medical bills after you leave employment.
So I
But
can load it up before I retire?
absolutely. Yeah,
Nah.
it's so the state HSA that we have plans we have
Mhm.
access to. And I believe they all operate this way, but I can only speak for the one I know well. Um, you can take your monthly contributions and you can actually invest those. So they are invested into stocks and bonds and can continue to grow um,
Nice.
while you're before you use the money. So, um, but yes, you could do that. And there's a maximum, but it is a way to save. You just have to remember that's money you need to spend on health care then after you retire. So
Nice. Okay. I did not know that. See, now you taught me something. Good job. Way to go.
So, and that's always check, yeah, what your plan's requirements are. I say that because I don't want somebody going, well, the special agent moms told me I can do this, but it depends what your employer is providing you. So,
Right. Right.
but
Right.
yeah. And if you don't know if you have a flexible spending account, a health reimbursement account, or a health savings account,
Yeah.
go talk to your HR person.
Okay.
Because the rules on all three and getting ready to start Medicare are different. So,
Okay. Got another question.
yes.
How much should we be helping our parental units? Because you and I both have a dad that my dad been doing this by himself, and I assume he's doing okay, but maybe I shouldn't assume things like that.
So, and this is, there's no rule on this. It depends parent to parent. Um,
And our dads are both the same. They were both farmers.
mhm.
Yeah,
So what I think about is I don't ever want to be the clueless child if my dad's for some reason incapacitated and unable to make decisions.
yeah,
So I think it's important to know what he's got. Does he have original Medicare? Does he have a Medicare Advantage plan? Um, does he know that he can look, if he's on original Medicare, look at his prescription drug plan every year? We had one drug plan that if people on it did nothing, it was going to go up $35 a month. And for some people, that was a cost that was just not sustainable. And so I just really, if if a parent knows enough to still make those decisions and knows what their options are, then I'm all about them having their independence. Um, you know, if they want more input, I think sometimes just letting them know you're willing to listen and willing to learn with them is what our parents need from us. It's not that they want us to come in and do it for them. It's just that, you know, they want it, they want to know if they want to know you care. However, that is that they need to hear that you care about them and their health care. My bias is I don't want my dad to have to spend any more on health care than he needs to. So we do
right.
sit down and have conversations so that he's got um, all the coverage he needs, but he's not spending any more than he needs to. Just that way, he's got that money for what he does want to spend it on.
Yeah, yep, yep, yep. And I've also got sitting here on my desk. I know we didn't talk about this before. Did you love it when I just pop things on your podcast that you weren't planning on me popping? But I had also printed off for my dad, and I still need him to sign some things. But we have this lesson called Advanced Healthcare Planning in Kansas. It is really an excellent one because it's got some forms in it about, hang on, I'll get to the forms here. Durable power of attorney for healthcare decisions in it. It also has one on the HIPAA privacy authorization form in it, pre-hospital DNR request form, for your loved ones. It's got some wallet cards for all of those in it. Some really useful stuff in it, really useful stuff in it. And the reason I was printing all this off is my dad's going through some cancer treatments right now. And the hospital was asking, do you have any of this stuff? And dad was like, what? Oh, obviously, no, he did not. And so that's why I was printing all that off. But it just made me think of, I should, more than him, should probably be privy to what's going on in his healthcare world. So yeah, I think that's important that we do kind of help dad a little bit. Not that he's not capable of doing this on his own, because he is perfectly capable of doing it, but it's always nice to have another person with you at doctor's visits or whatever. Um, you know, it's
What
just nice.
you know, and I think about it. You and I have both had healthcare issues through the years where we've had surgeries. And what
Yeah,
happens if
major.
something goes wrong in surgery or
Hmm.
I'm not going to go into the whole story today, but I had something that had me laying in ICU, and if we hadn't have caught it when we did, I would have been really glad that my husband had my durable power of attorney for medical decisions.
Yeah,
So, regardless of age, that's something to think about, to make sure you've given somebody else that power. Because there's also the conversation about who do you want to have that power.
right, right.
And
Yeah,
I'm very blessed. My mom and dad had those conversations. And so my sister and I both have been given durable power of attorneys. And so we share that responsibility. Um, and so that's family conversations because I know you have two sisters as well. So, you know, does
right. Yeah,
he want to
yeah.
select one? Does he want to give all three of you? You
I
know,
mean, yeah, the
yeah.
sisters and I, we've had this discussion, and yeah, we've talked about who needs to do that because we all live close. So yeah, it's who wants to make that decision. That's not easy. It was, one of us stayed in the room with mom when she passed, and fortunately, that was me. I was the last sister standing. I shouldn't laugh about that, but the other two they just weren't able to do that, and I was happy to do that for mom. Hold her hand as she passed from this life into the next, and those decisions they're hard to make. They're hard to make. They are. So yeah.
Well, and I mean, with durable power of attorney, it's not just end of life decisions you're talking about. And
No, absolutely
so
not. No.
there's so much that it can just be a peace of mind,
Yeah.
that you know who's going to speak for you when you can't.
Yeah. 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 I had an
So,
8-hour surgery to, you know, take a tumor out of my head. So I was, incapacitated for a little bit. Be nice
yeah.
to have somebody I trusted.
Well,
But
and,
things happen.
and
I think we might be on the off
absolutely.
topic at this point, but
But
it
I'm thinking we could
it all
bring an
relates.
expert on and have a whole nother podcast on paperwork.
We
Um,
could, yes. I have to talk to Aaron about that, but
yeah, it, it really is. And so, do you have other
I hear the
questions?
word Medicare and I just shut down because I don't want to talk. I don't want to think about it. But you have really helped me understand a little bit more today, so I do thank you for that.
Well, and that's, my whole point in wanting to do this podcast was to learn about it before you need it,
Yes,
before you need to
absolutely.
know that information. Because if you're standing by your dad at the doctor's office, that's not when you want to hear the first time, well, you've got a deductible, or, we need prior authorization on this, or, you know, and bless our seniors, I know they get mailings and phone calls trying to convince them to switch Medicare plans. And
Yes.
they can make it sound so good on the phone or in the mail, and they don't want to mess up. So sometimes I've worked with people who activated a Medicare Advantage plan because the card told them to call to activate it, not realizing that
Uh,
meant they were leaving their original Medicare. Um, so, and there are ways to undo that, but you never want to find those things out when you're needing to use it. So,
right. Yeah.
yeah, that's where I think I'm all about a little bit of education in advance so that way you can talk um intelligently,
Yeah.
you know what questions to ask. So SHIC counselors are available across the whole state, and often functioning with area agencies on aging. So anybody can call and visit with them. And there's even a 1-800 phone number for a hotline. And so I would just share it in case we have, because we know we've had some listeners from other states. Often in other states, it's called SHIP, SHIP, um,
Yes.
which is the Senior Health Insurance Program, I believe, is what SHIP stands for. So anyway, just there's resources out there, and we can list some of them in our program notes too, so they can see
And
that
like
in
you noted,
writing.
your hospital has one. I believe our hospital, local hospital does. So ask at your local hospital as well. Mhm.
Yep.
And our local health center here downtown has a free health clinic occasionally. And so that Hope Center, we call it a Hope Center. You might have something similar in your community that might also offer that service. So, just ask around health departments. You just never know where those services might be located at.
Well, and yes, absolutely. And if you're asking the right people, that if they don't do it, they probably know who does.
Right,
Uh,
exactly. They can steer you in the right direction for sure. Yeah. Yeah. There's no
so,
reason why you need to stumble through this if there's trained counselors out there to help you. At one time, each community had market had some navigators in the community that kind of helped with that type of thing. That was more along the line of the health insurance type roles. That's when they had the health insurance marketplace type thing. And
so
those are two different things. Yeah.
I say you're getting apples and oranges here, dear.
I know.
There's
I'm sorry. I'm
there
confusing
still are
people.
navigators
Mhm.
and trained people that can help you with the marketplace. But that's your prior to 65. So think
Right, right,
about
right, right.
marketplaces here prior to 65.
I'm
Medicare
sorry. I'll be
kicks in
quiet.
at 65, or if you have a
Um,
disability. So,
so what type of buzz have we been hearing in the news about Medicare and contributions getting cut to Medicare from our current administration?
so I love you, Jody. I'm gonna
I
start
know
with
you
that,
do.
but I'm not even gonna touch that because, and I say that just because things change so rapidly from the time we record this and talk about what's current till it gets edited and aired, things could change. And
And I
so
think
what
that's a great answer because we don't know from day to day. And that is exactly what our university is telling us on a daily basis. And they have a special website set up for us to go to get updates. And I think that is a great, and that's why I asked that question. I was hoping you'd give me the right answer. Good job. Um, it's because we don't know. And I get asked questions like that a lot, even from my board at a board meeting this week. They want to know what's going on. And I guided them to that website to go to. And that's where I would guide anyone that called me and asked me is go to the website, see what they can tell you. We are doing our job that we're supposed to do on a daily basis. And that's it. That's all we know.
so and specifically with Medicare, if anybody is listening who's thinking, "Oh no, my parents are on Medicare, I need to," things are set out a year in advance. So any changes being made now wouldn't be effective until 26.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're going to hear about the firm changes that are being made in the fall. So prior to open enrollment, we know what's available. There's that it is rolled out um, slowly, and it's slowly so that everybody who needs to know um, has that opportunity to be involved. So nobody's should be getting a call that their Medicare, yeah, that
Yeah.
just doesn't, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and if you, I'm always leery of phone calls around anything related to health insurance because those companies love to hit a button and send you a letter. I am fairly certain it's all automated and oops, send that letter and it spits out, folds it up, shoves it in the envelope, and your address shows, and here it comes.
Yeah.
Um, that. So I just am really leery of phone calls. But if you start getting letters, ask somebody else to help you look at them if you're unsure of what they mean.
Okay, I'll quit asking you questions now.
All right. Well, thank you if you've stayed and made it to this point because Medicare it can be a daunting subject. Obviously detail laden. So um if you have other questions, Jody, where can they find us?
They can find us on this all the socials. They can find us on Facebook at Pratt CO Extension. They can look you up at Barber County Extension. They can go to YouTube and find our videos. Those are sometimes
Yeah,
more fun than just listening to us. Pratt County Extension. I'm on Instagram at PrattKSRE. I think I might have listed that wrong the last time. Email us at jdrake at Pratt k-state.edu. Sorry, my brain froze. See, you froze my brain today. Or reubank at k-state.edu. And find us on Apple and Spotify. No, yeah, Spotify. Yep,
Spotify.
that's where you
Yeah,
can find our podcast.
you do that so well, so that's why I let you do that.
Yeah, except I didn't do it so well today, but that's okay. I'm forgiven, right? Okay,
You are forgiven.
we're gonna have some fun podcast next time. Trust me. We've got a couple of guests we're hoping to get on, or one for sure. Another one, we're gonna hopefully get on one of my favorite people, hopefully. And we're gonna talk about one of my favorite subjects, hopefully within the next few weeks. And that's my little poultry princesses. So that'll be fun.
I am going to forever refer to them as your poultry princesses
I
because
like that.
and let's leave that as the teaser. They have to tune in next time to hear why they're your poultry princesses.
Oh yes. Yes, you do. Uh-huh. There's a reason.
All right. Well, have a great day.
Okay, you do. Bye.
Bye.